All right, welcome to Law Firm Management Done Right. Today we have Sam Mollaei with us, and Sam has an interesting marketing concept. He specializes in helping law firms build a book of business from essentially zero to whatever their aspirational goals are. And so Sam and I spoke first a couple of weeks ago, and we share a lot of similarities in the way that we view law firms and opportunities for law firms. And so the one thing I really liked about Sam and liked about his approach and thought it'd be great to have a conversation with him is like PerformLaw, Sam not only recommends, but he's also hands-on, and he has tools and training and, can take you from, sort of a theoretical level right on down to a practical level. So with that, I'd like to welcome Sam in. And Sam, why don't you start the conversation maybe by just a little bit of your personal story and your background and how your journey has brought you here.
Sure. I was actually born in Iran, and I came here when I was 9 years old. Came here because of religious discrimination. Came here, didn't know how to speak English, and had to catch on to things really fast. Actually, I learned English from watching TV with captions on. That's actually the best way to learn. And pretty much got into UCLA right after high school, then went into law school. And law school, as we all know, doesn't really prepare you for the business or the life of being a lawyer. So during summer, I was working for a law firm. And even while I was in law school, I was like, this is not exactly what I thought it would be. And then I took the bar, waiting for my bar results, having more work experience. And it still was like, this is not exactly what I imagined it to be. Like contemplating life at that point, and passed the bar. Then at that point, I pretty much became a very depressed lawyer, working at a employment law firm. I would come in and work at 9 o'clock, and 9:05, I would be looking at the time. And I was like, this is not what I signed up for. And started soul searching, started asking around, and I basically started teaching myself about starting my own law firm. And I pretty much jumped ship within a couple of months right after passing the bar, started my own law firm, and had a lot of time to my hands. My first year, you don't have that many clients, but you do have a lot of time to learn. So I started reading a lot of books, watching a lot of YouTube videos, teaching myself pretty much all the online marketing strategies for getting clients. And I got exposed to this whole world of funnels, which is basically like the backbone infrastructure for getting people who need you, how to get them signed up. I basically started applying these concepts for my law firm. And I also got exposed to 3 key principles in Tim Ferriss's book, the 4-Hour Workweek book. If you guys haven't read that book, I highly recommend it. Where I got exposed to 3 key principles. One is virtual, which is basically having a business that's completely virtual that you could run from your laptop. The second part is automated, which means that the business that you create is completely running on its own. It means you create it and you let it get you clients, and even your clients being served can also be automated. The third is scalable. That means it's able to grow without much more of your input. You could basically grow without you necessarily working harder. And when I read these 3 key principles, I fell in love with it. I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm going to apply this for my law firm. And this is like 6 or 7 years ago when, the virtual model wasn't really, that mainstream. And every business decision that I made for my law firm had to align with those 3 key principles. Is it virtual? That means I'm not going to meet clients in person. Is it automated? Is it somehow, can I create the systems for the client generation or my clients being served? Can it be completely automated so it doesn't require my time? And third, is it scalable? Can I use videos and systems and funnels to be able to get this off my hands for it to grow completely without me? And fast forward 7 years later, have at this point 7 automated virtual law firms. And I basically figured out the formula for setting up creating these law firms, setting up the funnels to get clients, then using a lot of virtual assistants and systems to be able to serve the clients, and then also have an automated system for gathering a lot of Google reviews. And I rinse and repeat that over and over. And at this point, it feels like I'm starting a new law firm once a month. And now for the past 2 years, I've also been on a little adventure, kind of sharing these strategies that I'm implementing for my own law firm right now, not in the past, but right now. And I passed it on to other lawyers and we've had over 260 lawyers who signed up for our program. And my goal is to get to at least 1,000 in the next year, and hopefully grow from that point.
Well, for those of you who are just hearing about Sam for the first time, and haven't really had a chance to really meet him, I've only met him a couple of times, and both are virtual. His energy is infectious. He gets you excited, and you want to hear more. And so, Sam, one of the things in our world that we see, and I'd like for you to talk about this, because anybody who's had success with any kind of digital marketing, or probably marketing in general, but digital marketing especially, is the nature of sort of trial and error, and how much money, I can always say to our personal journey, how much money we spent figuring out, what worked and what didn't work. And we see law firms do it all the time, and they'll just throw money at different things and different ideas or different pitches that marketing people have, but they don't really understand, or don't really even know how to buy this kind of stuff. So why don't you share with, if you would, a few of your experiences relative to the trial and error nature of marketing, and how can you help reduce the learning curve for law firms?
Yeah, I'm going to share 3 key principles. One is the who matters more than the how. Okay, the who matters more than the how. A lot of people get stuck on the how. Instead, the better question is, who can help me on this? So, there's, at this point, we're in an information, generation where there's so much information out there, especially on YouTube, and obviously a lot of books and things, articles and things out there. So, go and find your top people, and either see what the program is and get close with them, become friends with them, and sign up for their programs that could really hold your hand and help you with that. Second is, don't overthink it. Most lawyers get stuck in the decision stage. Like a practical example is, should I hire a lawyer first, or should I hire a legal clerk first? I keep hearing discussion. I'm like, you need both. The answer is both. You need both. It doesn't matter which order. Just go hire the legal clerk first, because that one's easier. So don't overthink it. A lot of people, if you find yourself that you're sitting on something and you're still contemplating it, you're beyond, like, don't wait. And third is, that urgency. How fast are you willing to move forward with your decisions? Again, nothing should sit on your plate more than 2 days. And it helps to have a mentor, somebody you can talk it out with, so that person could just tell you the answer, and just so you don't overthink it. I have a mentor myself, somebody that, as the day goes, when life happens, when business decisions come up, if I can make a decision, I'll go make a decision. If not, I store it in my notes, so that when I do get an opportunity to talk to my mentor, right, I could just go down the list. Hey, what do you think about this? And he's like, do that. And what about this one? Go for it. Do it about this one. Okay, don't do that one. And I'm able to quickly, don't overthink things. And that's, again, that really helps, having that third party person who cares about you and kind of can guide you and get you to not overthink things. Okay, so just to recap, the who matters more than the what. Don't overthink it. And the third is, the urgency. Have some urgency in your decisions, and don't just sit on it.
So that's interesting, because the who rather than the what, that's tricky, right? Because a lot of times, lawyers will work with someone, and one of the things that we try to very hard. I mean, I agree with you on this. I agree with you that doing something is almost always better than doing nothing, right? So sometimes, for example, we might work with someone, or have worked with someone, or had a client work with someone, didn't wind up staying with that person, but that person led them to another person who was finally what they needed. So choosing the who is very difficult in in evaluating who really can help you, especially if you're an inexperienced marketer and you're not sure, honestly, the kind of help that you might need, and in a lot of law firm marketing, it's, oh, well, you need search engine ranking, or, oh, you got your Facebook likes, and it's all this tactical stuff. and we can help you rank number one in Google for, this or, and so you tend to choose your who based on sort of that promise, we'll get you number one on Google or something like that. How do you go about, or what can you share with us, the audience, about how to find the person who's right for you?
Usually it will come from word of mouth and, hearing about what's working for you or not. But one rule I'm going to give, and that might offend a couple of people that might hear from this, is don't work with agencies, if you can do that, if you don't need to. Instead, my team is I'm backed by individual freelancers, people that I'm connected to on a one-to-one. I work with people, I have freelancers. I don't typically don't work with agencies. Usually the way that I look at agencies is you have the sales team whose sole job is to sign you up, and then they hand you off to the person who will onboard you, that will promise you some things that will get you started. And maybe it will work out the first couple of months, but by month 6, you're client number 684. And then you get lost in the whims and it's not really sustainable. So instead, go find either a small team of people who really care, who are in it for long term, or go find a very good freelancer. What I do inside of my program is I teach people how to fish. So I show people exactly how to go hire these freelancers. Once you kind of have that kind of those know the how to go figure out the who, then everything becomes easier. So at that point, anything that you're stuck on, then again, you go follow my kind of step to be able to hire freelancers for that specific role.
So your typical client, that comes to Sam, or to your company, what state are they typically in? Are they, I've got no business, I don't know what to do, or I'm having some success, I want to do better? Where are they typically in the scheme of it?
There's only 2 types. There's either people that need clients, or there's people that are working too much, right?
Okay.
So ask yourself right now, which one do you fall into? Am I looking for more business, or I already have enough business, but maybe I'm the problem? I'm working too much, which usually leads to, hey, maybe your systems aren't set up correctly. And maybe we need to work on that. So that's all it comes down to, clients or systems.
That's interesting. So the people who need more business, that's sort of for someone who is listening to this podcast, or someone who may, reach out, and, that seems to make sense to them. I need more business. Let me call Sam, or I need more business. Maybe PerformLaw can help me with a system.
Exactly.
But the working too much, that intrigues me. So how do you help people who are working too much?
It's one of 2 ways, delegation and automation. Delegation is just using people to replace you, and automation is using tools to replace you. Because I kind of had the foresight that, hey, I want to create an automated virtual law firm. From the very beginning, I set up my own law firm to be completely off my hands. So I used a lot of virtual assistants to be able to get a lot of these tasks off my hands. And also, because I'm a little bit more technical, with a little bit more technical background, I basically learned how to use all these tools that are offered by Google, Kennel, Zoom, Google Sheets, Zapier, all these different tools, to be able to connect those pieces together. That says, hey, when this happens, go do this. Or when the client gets signed up, go inform this person and go set them up this way. So these are all tools that are out there. But the market, the general lawyer market, kind of has to learn how they can apply these things to themselves, and have actual practical examples that I share, because I'm currently setting up those same exact systems myself right now, and I pass those on to other lawyers.
Okay, so you're, in a way, you're your own test case, right?
Exactly. And I always have to run it. A lot of things that I got to teach, I have to do it myself. I don't teach anything that I haven't set up myself. And there's a lot of things that I know a lot of people are interested in, and I say, hey, let me test it out for 2 or 3 months. So let me see how that goes. And if I see good results, then yes, then I will show you how to set it up too. So yes, everything that I teach is based on things that I've done myself first.
And okay. So now when someone comes in and says they need more business, that starts at, where do you start with them? You start at the planning stage? Do you start at the let's get right into it stage? I know you have these sort of three things, the who, the don't wait, the what and don't wait, but who do you, how do you start with someone? You take them kind of as they are and they come to you and say, look, I'm a pretty good lawyer. I just don't have any clients, or I don't have enough clients, or we got a nice law firm here, but only half of us are busy half of the time. How do you what do you typically do with them?
Client generation has three parts. The first part is the funnel, which is the place where you send your leads to. Okay, depending on what niche or practice type you're in, there's different funnels that could work for that. For example, for estate planning lawyers need to educate their dream clients about how whatever they're going to offer them is beneficial for their life. So there's this very specific funnel that does education, and then that pushes them to do a scheduled call. So first is, again, depending on your practice type, choose the right funnel. Second is, again, depending on which practice type you are, figuring out where you're getting clients from. So what's the source, or in marketing terms, what's the traffic source of your potential clients that you're going to get leads from for your funnel. So there's a couple of big ones. Let me just give you a short summary. Usually for most lawyers, it's either going to be Google ads or Facebook ads, or if you're going to be doing some organic marketing like YouTube or Facebook groups and Quora, things like that. So I basically help lawyers depending on what niche they're in, depending on what they're like. Then I help them choose one of those right client sources. And the third part, great, you got your leads, you got the infrastructure to kind of bring the leads to, but you also need the automation to automatically text the leads, to also email the leads, to get them to be a scheduled call. And also after they are scheduled call, make sure that they show up. And also after they do show up, get them to see your testimonials and, get the objections answered and get them to actually be signed up clients. So all those three components has automations, emails, and text set up to push them towards getting them to be a retained signed client. So you need all three parts. If you're missing any of those parts, you're going to kind of you're not going to have a full-on reliable, consistent system that gets you clients. So those are the three kind of parts that I teach: the funnel, the traffic, and the automation.
Okay. And so one thing that we run into, we are a systems and processes company, and so we try to install marketing systems, frankly, in firms a little bit larger. And what I typically hear, and I'd love to get your feedback about this, is that, oh, well, digital marketing or automation or those things, those are great for, small solo firms that have primarily consumer-oriented practices, where, you're trying to reach out and maybe get personal injury cases, or you're trying to reach out and maybe, do estate planning. But we market to high-end corporations, and these principles really don't work. What do you think of that?
It's a limiting belief, because I also had the same limiting beliefs. Is this whole online stuff that I'm learning, how does this apply to business formations? How does this apply to PI? And I kept, for many years, I struggled with that question. How does this apply to this? But the funnel and the whole system is kind of like the backbone system that could be applied to anything in the world, as long as your clients have specific problems that you need to address and you can serve them. This is kind of like the system to get those clients. And I could share a story with you. I was at the ClickFunnels conference to receive my first 2 Comma Club awards. This is for generating $1 million.
We're going to talk about those again.
For my basically for generating $1 million. And before you receive this award, they put you in a room of all the people who were receiving this award. And I look around, there was 300 people that year that basically made $1 million online, and they were receiving an award for it. I'm like, this is so cool. This is like one of the most magical moments in my life, because anybody that I talked to is quote unquote successful, or at least had a business that did $1 million. So we're in a small group and we went around. So what do you do? What do you do? What do you do? What do you do? And we finally get to this kid. He looked like 18, 19 years old. And we're like, what do you do? And he started like giggling, like kind of like being a little shy and nervous to share what he does. I'm like, no, really, like, what do you do? He's like, I teach moms how to breastfeed. Imagine, in my eyes, there's like a 19-year-old guy that teaches moms how to breastfeed, and he made $1 million online. And that moment, it was the epiphany for me. I'm like, if this kid can do $1 million online, teaching moms how to breastfeed, let alone the lawyers that could serve their clients with, much, big problems, big market that, that we can do it using this funnel system for our own law firms. That's when I realized, the legal market hasn't really caught on to these things. As long as you have problems that you can address, you could serve those clients, then this funnel system will be the gateway, the way to get those clients.
So for you, really, it's in that funnel, it's more about the targeted messaging, right? And it's more about the content. It's more about how you calibrate or design the funnel, but the general idea works, the general premise works for anything that, you're trying to generate interest in. Is that accurate?
Exactly. Yes. You're just refining the language that could speak directly to one specific types of people, and you continue working and refining that message over and over. And the reason why funnels work, by the way, is there's only one way to go in a funnel. So there's different stages that you're pushing people in, and you're not giving them options. You're just driving them towards one specific path. And the more that you learn about your clients and the more you understand your market, the more you can refine that language inside your funnels to address specifically their pain points and how you can help them. And that's where the magic of the funnels come from. I've rarely seen people just get success from their first funnels. The results usually comes from continuing refining your funnel over and over and getting obsessed with it. For the lawyers who are kind of understand that this is the way to go, and I'm going to work on my funnel and I'm not going to give up until I get success from it. Those are the people that are successful. And those are the people that those 300 people showed up in their funnel, showed up in that room because they were able to stick with their funnel and continue refining it until they got it working.
So, you've spent a lot of time marketing with lawyers, so you want to understand where I'm going to go with this next. So law firms don't like to use the word sales. Okay, I get that. Okay, marketing they embrace more. Okay, although different concepts, I think, and then branding. And so, at what point in your process do you move away from a branding, or maybe they're together, but a branding strategy where you're just sort of trying to create positive buzz about your company and what you do and to create a positive image? But you're not really there's no necessarily a CTA attached to, a call to action attached to that. It's more about just think good thoughts when you see PerformLaw, or think good thoughts when you see law firm X. And the actual marketing or sales piece, it's really more of a sales piece, but the actual targeted piece that has a CTA attached to it, that actually tries to attract a potential buyer to a law firm. What do you do with people how do you get people past that, where it's just like, well, I'm comfortable saying really nice things and I'm comfortable putting out really classy content, but I'm not comfortable asking for business?
Well, you have no choice. You need to encompass both in your marketing. And if you just only do direct marketing where you're only selling yourself, no one wants to speak to you. Also, at the same time, if you're just, keeping it very broad and keeping it all very, as you said, branding marketing, then that's also too soft, and that's not really going to work. So right. You need to encompass both. The way that I can look at it is, for me, it's 80% direct marketing, 20% branding. A lot of people.
That's an interesting stat. So you're 80%. Can you say that again?
80% direct marketing. That means I only spend money that gets me clients that month. I don't do anything broad. Like, I don't do SEO that could possibly work or not. I do paid ads that brings me direct results. That brings me leads as soon as I turn on the paid ads, that week, that day, that hour sometimes. And I'm able to quickly test things and see whether it works or not. And that's not really branding. I'm not gonna start off my law firm doing branding. Branding is a kind of like a long-term play once you got your direct marketing down. So yeah, usually go after direct marketing. It's the way to go.
Okay. So that's interesting, because I think most people are more comfortable with the reverse of that, right? I'd rather just, send you a piece of content or tell you how great we are, or this great result we got, and you should by osmosis absorb that and want to hire us because, but I don't want to have to ask you for anything. I just want you to come to me and beg me to hire, beg me to do your legal work. And I think that's a really challenging. So it's challenging to get people comfortable with that. So one question I have for you, more psychologically, when you're working, how do you get people to there's this concept of transference, where you think that everybody thinks like you. So you say, well, I wouldn't be interested in an ad like that. I think that might be cheesy or something like that. And you're like, no, they're actually going to respond to this really well. You got to get out of your own way. How do you get people to overcome that? Is it just sort of like, trust me, we'll try it, and when you get some success, you'll get it? Or how do you handle that?
Um, there's always two types of lawyers that we get into our program, or people that are interested in our program. And then at that point, we kind of have to evaluate them to see whether they're qualified to take our program. There's lawyers who are very open. I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to make some changes for my law firm. And those lawyers, we know who they are as soon as they come in. They're very perceptive to learning. They implement fast. They don't ask as many questions. They don't overthink things. They just implement right away.
That's the key, right? Don't
Right.
overthink it, right?
And then there's ones who are like, no, I've been running my law firm like this for the last 15 years. You can't tell me what to do. No, this, what about that, questions, this, that. And usually those ones are the toughest people to work with. And usually we don't accept those people because we know we can really help them if they're not willing to help themselves.
Yeah.
So you got to be willing to learn from anybody. You got to be willing to change. Everything always evolves constantly. And it's always good to listen to people for anything that helps you, do things differently, look at anything differently. And if everybody's running this way, run the other way. I'm a completely contrarian thinker, and everything that I do for my business and everything that I do is always the opposite of what everyone else is doing. So if everybody's doing SEO, I'd rather not do SEO. If everybody's doing, Facebook posts, I'm not going to do Facebook. I'd rather do Instagram. So always ask yourself, am I following the herd, or am I following, the top focus way to get results the fastest?
We run into the same issues, Sam. I mean, we have people who call us, and we've been very successful in our marketing too. So it'll set you free. I mean, for what I tell most of our clients is, look, if you get it right, you will have a freedom and a confidence that you never had before. Okay, and you'll be able to. Everything starts working better because you start choosing better clients, better things, better fits. You're not doing it for the money anymore. You're not trying to survive. You're doing it to advance your passion and to your values and your mission. And you really just want to work with people you can help. So it takes a while to get there. It doesn't happen immediately, but when you start having that kind of success, but we have people who call us, and they're very difficult because they'll start to tell you a little bit about what they're dealing with. And then maybe you'll ask a question. Oh, we tried all that. Oh no, that's not, and at some point in the call, you just say, well, it sounds like you have it all figured out. And I think sometimes people call people like us in our different walks of this consultancy here. I think they call us just to sort of maybe validate or want to be validated, like, oh, you're so good, man, I can't help you, right? And so I understand, and you don't even necessarily have to respond. And it was just more like, we can relate to that. We get a fair, but most of the people that contact us and respond to our marketing, to a piece of content or a CT or whatever, fill out a form, most of them generally want to learn. They generally want to do it better, and they're fun to help, but I wanted to, maybe if we could, shift gears a little bit, because the whole law firm marketing space, okay, is dominated, is a different space, right? Because in major corporate circles, for Fortune 500s, things like that, it's well defined. And while there are people, some better than others, marketing is, a lot of the sort of the resistance to marketing and that kind of stuff doesn't exist. Okay. And as in professional services and law firms in particular, they're still sort of fighting themselves on it. And so what you wind up getting, I think sometimes, are what I describe as tools bias, right? So someone will say, Like when we go in and we're trying to do a strategic plan and we're looking at their market, oh, well, we have Salesforce, and like, or we have HubSpot, or well, we have this, or we have that. And you say, well, okay, what is that? Well, I don't know. I don't exactly know, but it's Salesforce, so it works. And I don't have any problem with Salesforce. I don't have any problem with any of these tools deployed right. But do you run into sort of people who have a tools bias, meaning, they are platforms, they sort of got online, they read the ad, they signed up, and they got the free trial, and they don't understand why the business isn't coming in.
It's about how you take advantage of the tool. Doesn't matter what tool you sign up for, just about how you apply it. Everything in life, it comes down to whether you can use it for good or use it for bad. So it's about how you use it. So as long as you're taking full advantage of it, then it gets the
Now,
job done.
are you tools agnostic, or do you have, broadly speaking, or and you can include apps and tools, or do you have favorites? Do you have things that you think deadpan locks that just work better than others?
Yeah, definitely. I actually, ever since I got exposed to online tools, I started compiling a list of all the different categories of tools and the different options. And over time, through exposure, hearing things, hearing reviews, testing things out, I was able to kind of get to pick the top one of that category. And I always, look at all the tools, I always try to find the best one and only use that one. And whenever I make recommendations in Legal Funnel, I always recommend the top one. However, there are times when somebody says, "Hey, I'm using this tool. Is it okay? Do I need to switch?" Like, listen, I taught you how to implement this for this. If your tool gets the job done for exactly the way that I taught it, then by all means continue with that. Just make sure you set up those things that I just taught you. But for each one, yes, there are certain tools that are much better than others. And also the ecosystem of tools also matters too. So for example, the biggest ecosystem in the world is Google, versus the outdated one. I'm going to offend a lot of people. Outlook. Right. It's good. It was good, but you guys have no idea what you're missing out if you're not on the Gmail and Google platform with Google Sheets and Google Analytics. It's so many things that
we're a Google shop here too.
Exactly. So
we get it. Yeah.
Things change. And it's just much better to be in a better kind of platform that's all interconnected together than standalones.
That was, and not to dive too deeply into the wonkiness of it, but these are true, the thing that we like about those tools is they're true cloud apps. They're not, they're not one of these sync with your desktop kind of, challenges that you can have. So, and the power of collaboration, it can't be, overstated, true collaboration where you literally, working on things together. And so let's talk for a minute. All right. So somebody comes to Sam and says, responds to one of your content pieces, says, "Sam, I need help. I'm either too busy and I need you to help me out of this sort of maze and this sort of trap that I've walled myself, or I could really use some more business." What's it like? I mean, what is the first thing you do? The second thing you do? You have a program, as I understand from when we talked. Tell us a few minutes, if you would, about your program and how it works.
Sure. So I used to teach a program to teach people first how to get clients. Then I will move into the system side. But I learned from doing, 9 sessions of these is actually people need to first work on the systems first to get work off their hands before you bring in new business. So that's where we start off with the systems. But first, we start off with virtual assistants, making sure that you have enough help you figure out what your dream team looks like. That means you have all the resources in the world. And you could hire and draft as many employees as you like. What does that look like? What roles do you need to fill in? And I teach you how to hire virtual assistants to fit in those roles for very inexpensive. And we start off with there. And then second is I share with you very specific tools that addresses very specific pain points with running your law firm. So let's just say we need the internal communication tool for our team. Let's set that up. Oh, I need to share passwords with my VAs. Let's set that up. So I help lawyers do that. And then once we do that, once we have that down, then we go into the client generation side.
And so when you're building out these teams using like a Upwork type platform, or where are you finding these
Yeah,
virtual?
we use a very specific platform to go and recruit. And it's not just about hiring, also how to manage them and how to track them and also how to incentivize them. I think you
Right.
need to encompass all of those to be to be able to build sustainable team of people that will work for you, not just for 1 year, for 5, 10 plus years.
Now, how long is your program? You do by the do you do by the call? Do you sign up for a specific program that takes you over a course of weeks or months, or how's that work?
Yeah. So by me going through the program over and over, I was able to refine it, change the times, change the order. So we found out that 6 weeks is a good amount of time for the program. And then we also offer 4 weeks afterwards for anything that needs to be finished implementing. We have a support implementation team. So imagine I teach these things. Great. Now let's go finish implementing these things. So we have another 4 weeks. So 10 weeks in total. Those will be the most impactful 10 weeks for your law firm. And because I kind of exposed everybody to so many different tools, so many different things, sometimes it takes weeks, months, maybe even years to finish fully implementing everything. But I check in with everybody, with our past students, make sure that they're finished implementing, and we take it from there.
So you just said something that's really important, and I think it bears repeating. We routinely tell clients that you've got the rest of your firm's life to build your marketing system out. You're never going to be done with it. You're always going to be tweaking it. It's going to be effective. You're just going to be making it better. But people, I think, and I wanted to see if you thought this, you can have, it's a journey. You can have successes along the way, and you will. But it takes years to perfect one of these things, to a level, I think, that you're competent enough and that you have enough data and you have enough things working right that you can make data-driven decisions. And one of the mistakes I think that people make when they first start marketing is, it's like the person who goes out fishing. Oh, we didn't catch anything here. Let's go to another spot. And so they throw a whole bunch of money at something. It doesn't bring an immediate return. And they go, well, that didn't work, And so, as far as the time it takes to really learn how to do this properly, to really put the time on task, and before someone really can start to have, again, there's always beginner's luck, and there's always sort of that, it seems like something that can happen right away. My experience hasn't been that. My experience has been that it just builds along the way. And then all of a sudden you realize, oh my goodness, we're pushing $1 million in new sales. How much time do you typically tell your clients to how much patience do you tell them to have, and how does time get into your training?
Time is everything. With everything that we do, I always teach people that you need to have time associated with working on your law firm. And the way that I set my program is on Tuesday mornings is a perfect time to be dedicated and focused on working on your law firm. It's not a Monday. I know everybody has crazy Mondays, so it's not a Monday. But Tuesday is a perfect day in the morning, not later on, not midday, not later on in the day, morning before you start the rest of your work, to just focus, show up, implement these things together, and again, have that time associated with working on your law firm. The other thing that I learned from my mentor that I pass on to our students is every task that you have that you would like to do, if it doesn't have a time associated with it, you don't have, I would like to do this. Great. When are you going to do this? Next week. Okay, great. What day next week? Tuesday. Okay, great. What time on Tuesday? Tuesday at 10 a.m. And so everything that I hear, every task, my team is now used to this, in my internal team, everything that they tell me, I'm like, when? And then they know that it's like, I need a day and time. So every task needs to have a time. If not, it's a wish list.
Yeah. And so, but I mean, and the constructed time, this marketing system, and I think it's important for the audience to know this, you don't, it's not a set and forget, right? Where you just, oh man, I worked with Sam for 6 weeks, he gave me this great stuff, and now I don't ever have to worry about business again. It just keeps coming. I mean, some of us, I listened to a podcast one time, and I could relate to this. The guy was saying that, look, you might try 100 CTAs over the course of a year, for example, but 5 or 6 of them really work well, and they become your classics, and you're always your go-to, your go-to pieces. I mean, what is your sense about that? Is less more in that sense, or you do a lot of different things and then try to find 5 or 6 that work, or whatever the right numbers? How do you manage that?
Very good question. And it's something that I think a lot of people struggle with, because most lawyers do a little bit of a lot of things. They
Right.
hear I got to do Facebook, so they make some Facebook posts on Monday. They hear I got to do some Instagram. Whenever they feel like it, they'll post some there. They'll make some LinkedIn posts whenever they feel like it. That doesn't work. It's a shotgun approach, and it's like, let me just throw some seeds and see, maybe one of them will turn into a tree. It doesn't work that way. It's not sustainable. You get lucky here and there, maybe, but it's not really sustainable. So instead, what I do is I get our students to hyper focus on the one traffic source, one client source, one funnel, one automation, everything one. First, it's much easier for people to implement. So if it's much easier, you'll be more likely to actually do it. So you'll be more likely to get success from it. 2 is most of your results comes from your top one. Applying the 80-20 Pareto principle, most of your results comes from your one thing. And yeah, you'll be again a lot faster, quicker results by just hyper focusing on one. Don't try to do everything all at once. Just pick one, go hard, make sure it's profitable, make sure it's tracked, your numbers. And then once you know your numbers and you could scale it, at that point you could be able to do more of it without necessarily doing more work. Then I will move on to the second one.
Right. So so it's more narrow but deep, and I agree with you. I think that over just in what we see working in law firms, then some of these people actually do this really, really well. And what we have learned from our own experience is that intense focus, that getting as many but relatively few things working properly is a lot better than a bunch of stuff kind of half implemented, right? And
as you said focus, I call it hyper focus. Being super hyper focused on just one. And that's actually the only thing I have on my wall. It's hard to see, but focus.
Yeah, there you go. I love it. Well, there's a lot of distraction, right? There's a lot of things that knock you off that Tuesday morning, right?
Exactly.
I'm gotta go here, I gotta do this, client's calling, I forgot to put it on my calendar, so it's really a good life lesson in getting things done, so what I'd also like, Sam, is to give you an opportunity here, because I've been sort of draining your brain, pardon the pun, but I've been trying to get as much out of your mind as I possibly can. What haven't we covered? What do you think is an essential element of this conversation that should be in a conversation like this?
We're in the golden age of creating a virtual law firm. It's never going to be as easy as it is now. Every year, it's going to get continuously harder and harder to create the systems, to get clients, have the law firm run completely without you, and to also live a balanced life. So it's very important, if you got motivated from this podcast or this video, to go and find somebody who can help you implement these systems. Because then again, it's not going to get easier. More and more people, the market is going to catch on to all these concepts. Let's just say virtual assistants. People are going to, right now that people have virtual assistants, in about 2 years, there aren't going to be that many virtual assistants that can help you with your law firm. Go learn these systems, go set it up as soon as you can. Make 2022 your best year of your life. The same way if somebody came to you, Brian, if somebody came to you in 1980s and told you, hey, go buy real estate.
Yeah.
And you'll be looking back in 40 years and you'll be really happy. Well, it's the same thing right now with creating a virtual automated law firm. So I encourage you to take full advantage of it. If you need more details from what I shared, please feel free to reach out. My name is, again, Sam Mollaei. My company name is called Legal Funnel. Just Google it, or go on YouTube, or go on Facebook group. Search for us on Facebook. Anywhere, just search for Legal Funnel. be able to join our Facebook group, subscribe to our YouTube channel, any of those, kind of get exposed to what I do. I'm all about giving. I always give. I do educational based marketing. I educate. And then from that, if people are interested, then people come and learn more and see how we do things. So yeah, if you're interested, take full advantage of it.
So for those of you who are only going to get the audio portion of this, I can tell you Sam is a very engaging and friendly person, and you would do well to contact him. And what we're going to do is, for those who are getting the audio portion, we're going to put Sam's contact details, on the website, so you don't have to worry about pulling the car over and writing all that stuff down. Just go to PerformLaw.com. This will be out there, and you can find Sam. And so, Sam, I said sort of at the very end, you could sort of brag about those gold. I said they were gold records, and he quickly, I'm showing my age a little bit, but I said, what are those gold records on the back of your wall there? And he corrected me. So, Sam, why don't you tell us about those gold records on the back of your wall there?
Sure. So this is my first one. I received my first one, or actually that one right here on the left, and I actually put it on the left when I received my first one, because then I knew soon after I would get my second and third one. These are for earning $1 million online for my first law firm, Mollaei Law. Then I was able to replicate that over in 2020 for EIN Express. And the third one is for Legal Funnel. And I'm actually just earned also my fourth one, but I'm going to wait to apply for it in 2022. So that way I could say that I got $1 million online in 2019, 2020, 2021, and 2022. Again, the reason why I'm able to do this and the reason why I share it is to kind of give you guys vision and to show you guys that it is completely possible to grow a law firm that could do 7 figures, that could also run completely without you. You just need somebody to kind of teach you these things and so it could help you implement it. So yeah, thank you so much.
Sam, you are an awesome interview, and you're a lot of fun, and your enthusiasm is infectious and real. So we thank you. Appreciate it. And I'm sure we're going to be doing some things together down the line.
Thank you so much, Brian. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, Sam.